this video is probably the most vulnerable video I will ever put out. So I'm going to take you guys through the very beginning until now.
Good work, Charlie.
I'm gonna go back to 6-year-old Veronica. That's when I first started to struggle with weight, how I perceived my body to be. And one of the things that happened to me, it was kind of a traumatic event. I remember in elementary school, and looking back, I had crippling anxiety about something that I was not able to control. And that's where my whole entire anxiety started, when I was 6 years old in middle school. Maybe it was 7. And I remember, I didn't understand at the time, but something happened to me. I had no control over it. My parents were making all the decisions for me. And after that event happened, I just remember I started to put on weight, and I started to turn to food to try and, you know, I don't know, make myself feel better, use it as therapy. And looking back, I didn't realize I was doing all of this. And then once I got into like 1st grade, still had crippling anxiety. 2nd grade, I think, is when I put on the most weight. And I remember my parents, like my family members, they would, you know, try to put me on diets and tell me like, oh, you don't need to be eating that. And that really triggered something inside of me, of like a rebellious streak, because I don't know why, but whenever I was told like, oh, you can't do something, oh, you need to be this way, like my whole entire soul and being would literally just like do the complete opposite. Like, I've always despised authority. Oh my god, like even till this day, like when I try to, when someone tries to control me or like make me go in a certain way, like my body screams like, no, I don't like restrictions at all. So me having crippling anxiety, gaining more weight as a child, like being deeply insecure, having my family members like put me down, it just added. And I remember being in 5th grade, and I remember getting called into like the nurse's office, and I think they were trying to test me for like if I had diabetes or something. And I remember I was so embarrassed, like so beyond embarrassed. It was me and I think 2 other girls, yes. And I think at that time I was probably 30 pounds overweight for what I should be, or maybe it was 40. And I remember so many times, you know, my aunt, she would try and tell me like, you know, let's work out, you need to eat better. Or this was one of the most like traumatizing and triggering things. I remember being like 5th grade, and you know, I don't even think at that point in life or that age you're supposed to go to a gym. And I remember my aunt, she would like lie about my age and say that I was older just so I could like go to the gym and work out. And I don't think at the time I remember like how I processed it, but I just remember now, like, looking back, like, being so sad and like hurt for my younger self, because it's like I wish I could go back and like hold her and tell her like it's okay. Like, mind you, you're dealing with all of these aspects and like anxiety. Like, this is something so much deeper than just your weight. And there were so many other times of like being yelled at, being scolded by my family, being put down because of like how my body is perceived. I don't know if they would have taken another approach, then I would have turned out better. I have no clue. But that is where I was at. Mind you, once I got to high school, I did lose the weight. I was going to the gym with my cousin. I completely changed my diet. I was calorie counting, not so strict, but I just knew what I was putting in my body was like fruit, like yogurt. I knew it didn't have a lot of calories, and I did not look on the scale. I remember one day I stepped on the gym scale probably like 4 months after I was doing all of this, like training, working out, cardio, like eating healthy, and I dropped like 40 pounds within like 4 months. And it didn't even hit me. I didn't even register or process that. Like, I honestly wasn't even able to see like how much progress I made or how much weight that I genuinely lost either. Like, I was not able to tell. Looking back, obviously now on pictures, yes, but back then, oh, I still felt like I was like 200 pounds or something. And that obviously that stems from like body dysmorphia and stuff. Slowly but surely I kind of started to put on the weight again. I remember I kept it off for a while. I may have like gained 10 pounds in between, but for a long time I was able to like sustain it. And mind you, I was not even remotely down to like a goal body weight. It was just something that like I looked or perceived to be normal with. I've never actually dropped down to like my goal or dream body. I'll explain that more in a little bit. But so once I turned 21, I got into a relationship, put on relationship weight, maybe like 15 pounds, broke up. I got into another relationship, which I gained even more weight. And when I was in my most toxic relationship, I gained the most weight. Like, you guys, I was probably, I don't remember, even after we broke up, like I was still gaining weight. Like, there was so much inside of me trauma wise that I was like holding on to, like pain, genuine pain, like self-worth issues I was battling, insecurities, like the whole 9 yards. I think my heaviest weight was like 180 something. I was almost like 300 pounds. And like, I have no clue what it was. Like, mind you, I knew I was gaining weight, but I couldn't see it visibly. Like, that's one thing that I think there's one thing when you have body dysmorphia, like it goes both ways for me. Like, I can't see when I genuinely drop weight, and I cannot see from an unbiased standpoint when I put it on either. And I remember like my dad coming to me and he's like just talking about like, you need to lose weight. I would get very defensive, very combative with my parents. Like, anyone that even like brought that up, I was so triggered. Obviously that stems from my childhood, because I have like I had such a negative connotation with like my family and weight and how they would come at me. So anytime I felt like I had to be or stand up for myself, because I didn't understand like why it mattered so much to them, like what I looked like. And so going forward, I remember my friend, she was going to the gym. She probably lost around 25 pounds or whatever, and she was like, do you want to come with me? Mind you, I wasn't even going to like work out. I was going to like talk at the gym, and like I wouldn't even work out, you guys. Like I would sit on the ground, I'd watch her work out, we would talk, and I may do the treadmill for like 15 minutes. But once I started going consistently, I had so much fun talking, and you know, you start going and you start noticing the same people show up, and then I was like, oh, maybe I could actually take this seriously, you know. And it was so funny because it was like January, you know, everyone is like resolutioners or whatever, and I just never even I never even had the thought of, oh, I'm going to take this seriously. It was more of like social interaction for me. So I started taking it seriously. I showed up every single day. I did the basic, you guys. I did 40 minutes on the elliptical every single day. Just by doing that, I dropped 20 pounds within the first month. I think my body was probably shocked, because we've never done that much physical activity in the past years. Like my body's probably like, bitch, what the fuck? Like, who are you? We have no clue who this embodiment person is right now. Like, you know, it was a shock to her system. I remember even too, like I did like extreme weightlifting, like legs and everything, and my body like could not take it. Like I was out of the gym probably for a week, but I kept showing up for myself, you guys. Like I didn't even change my eating patterns within that first month. I was still eating like shit, and around the 2-month mark, maybe 3 months in, I was still even going out. I was taking tequila shots, I was drinking, I was eating fast food. I remember like going out and like ordering McDonald's at like 3 o'clock in the morning, my friend like falling over drunk, like just a hot fucking mess. And around that 3-month mark, I said, okay, I felt like I hit a plateau, and if I really wanted to drop more weight or become healthy, I was going to have to take it seriously. I stopped drinking. I went cold turkey. I told my friends, you know, I can't go out. We can hang out, maybe go out to eat or do different activities, but I cannot go out with you and drink and party like I used to. So they stopped inviting me going out. I started to slowly incorporate calorie counting seriously, and I didn't even discover like protein until probably month 4. And once I did that, I said, oh my god, like consuming, you know, a high protein diet and, you know, eating less carbs, like I feel so much more satiated. So I did this, you guys, for 6 months straight, and slowly but surely the weight fell off, but I started to become severely depressed. Mind you, when I was in it, I could not see. I could not see myself, how sad I was, how lonely I was, how restricted I felt, how I had shackles and chains. I became so entitled because no one was understanding what I was going through. I would look at my friends and I would see like they're going through like intense shit in their life, intense like breakups and dealing with guys and like internal family problems. I was not able to relate to that whatsoever because I completely shut myself off from the world, from socializing. I would go to the gym, I would come home, I would count my calories, I would watch the same exact, you know, YouTube videos about how to drop weight fast, and it consumed my life. I remember the only happiness I felt was from shopping. That was it. I may get like new leggings or t-shirts, and that was my only source of like happiness. I wasn't connecting. I isolated myself so much, and I convinced myself that no one understood what I was going through, and I would look down on people because I'm like, wow, I show up for myself each and every single day. Like, even just skipping, you know, a workout or something, or like I would have to make up for it in some other aspect or way. So, mind you, throughout this whole entire process, I dropped 80 pounds within that first year, and then I just had a breaking point within myself. I felt like, oh my god, how am I ever like going to socialize again? How, like, what am I going to do? Internally, I felt hopeless, I felt lost, I felt sad. Even when people would try to come and talk to me and like bring awareness onto like what I was doing, I would get so defensive, and I would just like block them out of my mind because I'm like, they just like don't understand. They don't have the lifestyle that I do. I'm so self-disciplined, they're not. They like just looking down upon them again. And then I started slowly but surely hanging out with people again. I started to find, you know, I started to feel connected to the people in my life. I don't really know even how that transitioned. I think it was like someone invited me out, I started hanging out, I had an interest in like one person, and then it was like a snowball effect of like opening myself back up. And now where I'm at, looking back in that headspace of like just isolation and like extreme calorie counting, like I do notice that I was like severely depressed. And looking back, I am grateful for that, because I would not be experiencing what I am experiencing now, and it is a coming back to myself in a healthy way. Like, I had to go through that level of like putting shackles on myself so I can be appreciative for like actually being healthy and stuff. And right now I'm in a really weird place. Like, I'm not calorie counting, I'm like intuitively eating. My mind, like, I can gauge now, because I calorie counted so long, like how much something usually is, like a big meal. Because now, like, I will eat exactly what I want. Will I eat all of it? No, I'll eat half and then half of something else. And I don't know, I'm still losing weight. Like this past week I probably lost 8 pounds, and I don't know if that's just because like mentally I'm in such a better place, or I'm not relying on food to cope with my emotions either. Fasting feels really good for me, and where I'm at now, like this morning, I told myself I was gonna go to the gym, but I asked myself too, I'm like, am I doing this because it really resonates with me? Or am I doing this because I'm just trying to lose weight and I want to be accepted? And like I said in the past, I had all of those shackles on me of like, you need to do this because you need to be perceived this way, and you have to get down to a certain body fat or body weight so you will be accepted. And that's not a life to live. I'm not there anymore. In every aspect of my life, I'm being genuinely guided by my intuition, and in a healthy way. I'm not going to over consume food or like binge out because I'm in a bad place. No, if I eat, I'm eating because I want to put nutrients in my body. And I know you can hear all of these things and it goes in through one ear out the other, but when you're really there, when you're really in a mindset to take it in, like you get it. Because I was the same way. I would look at people and be like, oh, ignore this, ignore that, like I like just can't relate. But now I'm like, wow, like people actually eat food to put nutrients in their body. They're not doing it to try to escape, or they're not doing it to try to get validation from like people, or they're not doing it because they need their body to look a certain way. And you guys, I'm telling you, when those 6 months of isolation that I was in, I was literally doing it just so I could drop the most weight, so I could get to a place of like where I wanted to look. The intention behind what I was doing was seeking validation and attention, and I felt like if I got down to a goal weight that I would be accepted, and that was just not the case. And even now, I don't know what my health goals are. Like, I just genuinely want to feel healthy within the inside of my body, you know. Whichever way I get there, but I'm not restricting myself. I'm not putting shackles on myself like I was. And I'm really grateful for this experience, and telling my story hopefully help you guys out, whether you're on the same timeline or not, whether you're starting or you're at your, you know, the middle phases. But I never in my life even felt that I would get to a place of like being genuinely like grateful and like embodying true like health when it comes to my body, because it was something I was always so fearful of and running away. Like, I never thought that I could drop the weight. I never thought that I could have my dream body. Mind you, I'm still like a work in progress, but to see how far I genuinely have came, and if I really want to get my dream body, I can do it in a healthy way. I don't have to break my heart and my soul and my body in the process of doing that, like I felt like I had to in the past. And this is just my journey and like what I genuinely have experienced, and it's really emotional, you guys. Like, I know we struggle with this day in, day out, like the pressures of what society puts on us, and I don't know. I'm not there anymore. And I will actually say, I wasn't going to mention this within this video, but I will. The biggest thing that has helped me truly is like microdosing and reflecting on my mental patterns of like what is controlling me, and really getting out of my ego. Like, microdosing has allowed me to get out of my ego and really see life for what it is without those negative thought patterns and rumination. I'm just so grateful to feel whole again within my soul. And I want you guys to know, if you're going down a toxic path or something that gives you anxiety, like, you will come out of it. There's no good without the bad. There's no dark without the light. To experience the light, you really need to experience the darkness. So you will be genuinely grateful for when that opportunity does come to you. Like, I am so grateful now of where I am within myself. And I just want you guys to know, like, you're not alone. It is a journey and it is a process, and every single day you can make the new decision for yourself. And yeah, this is where I'm at. This is my story, and I hope it inspired and helped one of you.